to defend themselves. As for Malaysia, yes, we spend money on defense. I regret it very much. I wish that we live in the days of bows and arrows. So that my expenditure on defense would be in buying some bows and arrows and the like. But today, if you don't buy a fighter plane and your neighbor buys one, we have to keep the morale of our soldiers up. Nobody has an F-16. Why can't we have something like an F-16? Not a toy plane, but costing about 200 million ringgit. We don't have that much money. But somehow or other we scrape together that kind of money. But imagine if you go back to the days of bows and arrows, all the money that we make, we can spend on alleviating poverty, on improving our standard of living, building infrastructure, etc. But because we have to buy these weapons to show that we are as good as the Joneses, then we become poor because of that. I've seen very poor countries, poorer than Malaysia, having expensive fighter jets. So it is unfortunate because you keep on upgrading weapons, they cost even more, and people have to buy these weapons, and they become poorer because of the need to buy the weapons. So in Malaysia, we would like to advise the world, please go back to bows and arrows. Our budget would be much better managed.
Can we try and take some questions from the back? Anyone got any questions for that? Okay, you.
What do you think about the statement that sometimes we have to sacrifice some evil to do greater good? Because if America did not enter World War II, then how would the World War stop? Because the Germans would continue to kill the Jews. If Hitler were to win the war, everyone would be speaking German, and the Jews would continue being in concentration camps.
I have no objection to speaking German. Lots of people speak German. But in the East, they saw Japan growing in power. And Japan was trying to imitate the ways of the West. And they invaded China. And then they were denied supplies of oil. So the only way they can overcome that shortage of oil was to conquer the oil-producing territories, which happened to be in Southeast Asia. As to the Germans, the reparations that the Germans were made to pay after the First World War practically bankrupted the country. I mean, they have to recover. And it's unfortunate, of course, that they have a leader like Hitler, because he sees shortcuts. Then maybe they will have to kill people. But in the end, of course, these people get killed themselves. So I don't think they should try again.
Okay, any questions? Yes, Fiona?
Instead of criminalizing war, we practically have prevention of the war, where poverty is sort of exactly result from inequality distribution of wealth, and therefore the young people that came from 77 to 9/11, when it is a solution about quality of wealth rather than exporting to Western countries?
Yeah, there may be reasons for going to war. What I'm saying is that you don't go to war, whatever the reason. You resort to negotiation, you resort to some arbitration, go to a court of law. Don't kill people. My concern is with killing people, not one or two, but millions. And this is terrorizing the whole world. That is not the way civilized people should behave. Imagine a society like us. You ask one question, somebody else doesn't like the question you ask. He challenges you to a fight, and he shoots you because he's a better gunman than you are. So there's no justice. And this is what is happening to the world. The powerful countries win, or they think they win, all the time because they are powerful. Is that fair? So if you have inequalities, you have poverty, you have whatever problems, don't solve it by killing people. That's all I'm saying. We can call ourselves civilized.
We have 10 minutes more for questions. Yes, Viola.
I'd like to ask where you draw the line between self-defense and war. You have said, as answers to both questions, that any act of going to war, any act of aggression should be criminalised to stop that. But then you also justify, as a last resort, violence. Where do you draw the line between having nothing and using it as a last resort and using it as a first resort? Because philosophically, you're not going to have mankind without conflict, and conflict is why war exists. I mean, war wouldn't exist if we had found a better way to settle our differences. Where do you draw that line?
I think in this country, before you fight duels, you insult me, okay, go out with it, shoot each other to solve the problem. Is that a very civilized way or a very just way of settling a problem? I'm quite sure that you will say, no, that's not fair. He's a great marksman and you have never handled a gun. So it is the same with the world. What I'm saying is, if you do have problems, don't solve it by killing people and trying to be a champion because you can kill more people, therefore you are great. That is not the way to solve things. There are other ways of solving things. And the whole world should come down hard on people who resort to war the moment they feel that they are not happy about anything. This is all that I'm saying. Don't kill people. Just as in human society today, we ban dueling, we ban people who try to kill other people in order to solve their problem. In the whole world, we should ban this idea that in order to resolve problem, you kill people. And the best killers would be the champion who will survive. The world will be full of killers. All the best peace people will be dead. Is that the kind of world you want to see?
Okay, next question.
My name is Jonathan. Following up on that question, I'd just like to ask you, clearly the United Nations doesn't work. So what you propose is three alternatives. How do you think countries which are militarily strong actually adhere to these alternatives to resolving intergovernmental conflicts? Because clearly the United Nations doesn't work, so what will you propose in your opinion?
Well, in my talk just now, I tried to point out that the so-called militarily powerful are really not the winners. They have fought wars and they have lost wars against pygmies, against people who have no capacity whatsoever. If you compare the power of the United States against the Vietnamese, for example, they were defeated and they came running out of Vietnam. Sometimes they arrived in Malaysia also because they were so scared of being killed. So the fact that you have more money, more weapons, more sophistication doesn't mean that you are winning war. Today's war is going to be very different from previous wars. Previous wars were fought between armies, or at the most the people fighting would be of equal strength. Today you see powerful countries picking on weak countries and trying to occupy that country and change the system and achieve their objective. But they may defeat the country and sign a peace treaty, but the people will not accept it. The people will see you passing in the street, they will shoot you. If they cannot shoot in their own country,